Hello, hello. Hey guys. Um, Big Swear. You guys hear me? Does that sound good? Perosi in the house. Clint Westwood in the house. Amy Weir in the house. Brian Durkin in the house. Jerry Hardison in the house. Ty S in the house. Hi everyone. Um, yeah, I need to hang on a second. It's funny because I have I watch the chat over on my iPad over here, and so the video is going on, and I'm looking at it. I get, wait, I'm out in commercial. I'm commercialing myself. Yeah, I know I have a lot of commercials, but that's when you do it for a living, you got to get paid somehow. I hear that YouTube is gonna do another purge very soon. Unbelievable. Remember, my count right now for total subscribers is like 61,000 or something like that. Watch it go down to sub 50 in the next month or so. These guys are criminals. Unbelievable. All right, let's talk about the news. So we had, first of all, on the repo side this morning, another big repo. And then just posted about an hour ago was a reverse repo. Reverse repo is a little different thing. You think, well, doesn't that take it off the total? No, what reverse repos do is the idea is to get the interest rate down via by the Fed selling securities, or the bank needs a security. It's a little complicated, but it's $20 billion. Actually, I think it's 18.7, I think today was. At some point, you got to think, wait, these are billions of dollars. These aren't millions of dollars. These aren't hundreds of thousands of dollars. These are billions of dollars that they're giving the banks every single day. I've been saying it. How long have I said it? The banks are going to crash because of the derivative situation. This is all derivatives in the background. Now, here's the news. Senator Elizabeth Warren. I'm not a fan of her policy. I am a fan of her fighting the banks, but I'm not a fan of her solutions. Her solutions are more regulation. And anybody who's been in this business long enough knows regulation is just a cover for the old system. It's a way for them to put up rules to make it look like you're doing something, but all they do is get a workaround. The only way to fix the problem is to destroy the problem and start fresh. Start fresh with no regulators at all. The best thing would be no regulators. And I'm not saying that just because I believe in free markets. No regulators means very little speculation. Everybody would be scared and have to do actual due diligence to make an investment. What's wrong with that? It's time for people to wake up. And we got to get rid of the nanny state. So yes, I'm not a fan of Elizabeth Warren. She hates the bankers. That's the reason she got into office. That's the reason she's running for president. The thing that scares me is if we have a banking crash, she'll probably jump to number one right away. The problem is, there's many problems with that. The solution is wrong. So I expect her to absolutely run away with it, even way above Trump when the banks originally crashed. And then when she starts talking about her solutions, which is complete socialism, that's when they'll turn back to Trump, potentially. And then, by then, though, Trump will be busting all the pedophiles and crashing the criminals and arresting people. So, once the banking manipulation's out of the way, that opens it up for everything. So, anyway, here's the news. Elizabeth Warren writes a letter to, and this was dated October 18th, to Steve Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary. I'm just going to read part of it. It's a 3-4 page letter. And why she couldn't fit it into 3 with her signature, I don't know. But it gives examples, and it says, I write to you in your capacity as the chair of the Financial Stability Oversight Council, FSOC, to request information regarding the recent volatility in the short-term lending market, the emergency measure taken by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York in response to the volatility, and the 2 extensions announced in response to these efforts in recent weeks. So Elizabeth Warren knows what's going on. They are bailing out the banks behind the scenes. They're doing it. They're lying about it as they go about it. They're not telling the world just how big this problem is. And Elizabeth Warren is calling them out on it. Now, she is demanding that they get back to her on these issues. The problem is they've already lied about these issues. And she brings that up, so they can't say it again. Let let me tell you, she goes through the crisis, and then she says, I do not question the actions of the Fed, but I write to seek clarity on why they were necessary and the implications of the cause of the spikes. Some have suggested the rate spike was related to the reduction in cash in the financial system due to quarterly tax payments deadlines coupled with Treasury auction settlements. However, these tax payments and settlements were not a surprise, and such a cash shortage would have been anticipated well before the rate spike occurred. Where did we hear that before? And she quotes articles. Basically, she's quoting all these articles. I wonder if she quotes the Road to Ruta in here. I doubt it. Others have suggested that the Federal Reserve's reduction in their balance sheet may have reduced the overall amount of reserves in the financial system too rapidly. Again, though, this reduction has been going on since 2017 and does not represent the type of unforeseeable circumstances that would have rattled markets so suddenly. And here's where it gets good. I am also concerned that, quote, big U.S. banks are using the recent chaos in short-term funding markets as an opportunity to pressure the Federal Reserve to ease liquidity requirements they have long despised, and that the FSOC might support these efforts. We do know, I reported a couple days ago, that the Fed is meeting with the big banks on ways to get around regulation, even to the point of holding the Fed, using the Fed money and counting that as the bank reserves. These rules, now she was huge on developing these rules, so this is why she's writing the letter. These rules were designed to ensure that the banks have enough cash on hand to meet their obligations in the event of another market crash. Banks are reporting profits at record levels, and it would be painfully ironic if unexplained chaos in a small corner of the banking market became an excuse to further loosen rules that protect the economy from these types of risks. Basically, she's calling them out before they do it. FSOC is responsible for identifying and responding to emerging risks to the stability of the financial system in the U.S. As the chair of the FSOC, you, Steve Mnuchin, are tasked with overseeing these efforts. Given the lack of clarity about the cause of the current short-term funding strains and whether this cause could relate to a larger problem in the financial markets, we ask that you respond to these questions by no later than November 1st. Mnuchin's got a problem. He's going to have to lie or convolute the situation. He can't tell the truth, but he has to do it by November 1st. He can say, no, that's not enough time. We might have a little kick the can. It's not enough time. We need at least a month to analyze the data, which is bullshit. And then here are Warren's 3 questions. 1, what are the underlying causes of the spike in borrowing rates for overnight repurchase agreements? Because we know it's not what they said it was. A, what information have FSOC collected or analyzed to reach these conclusions? B, what does the Treasury Department have? Does the Treasury Department have any information or data that would indicate that these fluctuations could be a manifestation of a separate underlying risk to the financial sector, like an imploding derivative market, by the way? Or C, what is FSOC doing to mitigate these underlying risks? So basically, Warren's saying, what the pluck? Spill it. And number 2, has FOMC learned why the Fed announced on October 11, 2019, that overnight operations would be extended at least through January of next year? That's when I jumped up and down and said, this is it. They're opening the kimono. A, what are the risks to the economy and to the market participants of extended volatility in the overnight repo market? B, what additional steps are you taking to mitigate these risks and ensure that the impact of these market disruptions does not trickle down to the consumers? What are the risks to the economy, the total destruction and ending of the economic system as we know it, Elizabeth? Number 3, that's why you can't tell him. That's why Mnuchin's going to have to dance around this one. You can't tell the truth in a criminal banking system like we have. You cannot tell the truth. Powell has tried to lie for 2 months now. It's not working. Now you're getting the head of the Treasury who's gonna lie. In FSOC's 2018 annual report, the council expressed support for the Office of Financial Research, the OFR, proposed rule to collect data on centrally cleared repo transactions. In 2019, that rule was finalized. A, how will FOSC and Treasury use this data to gain further understanding of the repo market? B, is this data collection sufficient to monitor the ongoing trends in the short-term leading market? If not, what further data collections are needed? Love Elizabeth Warren. No, sincerely, Elizabeth Warren. So Elizabeth Warren has thrown down the gauntlet. The Fed has to do another increased bailout package come the end of the month. That's going to be one of the keys. And she's saying, hey, you can't do this. We have these rules in place. By the way, I hear you're trying to obfuscate those rules, go around those rules, and make up new rules. We're not going to let you do that. It's getting ugly. Elizabeth Warren is positioning herself to say, I told you so, bankers. I'm your president. I should be president because I called this. I told you it was going to happen. It's going to happen. We just don't want Elizabeth Warren as our president. It's one of those things. You hate her and you love her. You love her because she's calling out the bankers. You hate her because her solution is horrific. It's socialism. It's the destruction of the United States of America. So that's where we stand right now. We're getting near the end of the month. Repos, I had to tweak the repo because I forgot there was a $20 billion expiration. So it went from $260 billion tonight to $240 billion. I put that on the private road. I'll put it on tomorrow when there's a big expiration tomorrow. So I expect another big repo tomorrow, bigger. See, when these expiration comes, let's say it's a $30 billion expiration from a 14-day repo, they got to do at least that much and probably more to kick the can. That can just keeps stopping. They kick it, and it just stops. And they got to do something bigger and bigger. So that's where we are. And it's got to be, the next one's going to be really big. And Elizabeth Warren knows it. And they're not going to allow just to open kimono. They're going to bring it to Congress. If it's not the $20 trillion bailout that I have been predicting for over a year now, then it'll be something like, okay, if the Fed's not going to do what we tell them to do, here's a bill, by the way, that's already written to end the Fed or audit the Fed. I would say end the Fed. If the Fed's not going to do what the people want, why not end the Fed? And they can vote on that too. Look at the $100 bill, the new $100 bill. I read my article on the new $100 bill, the secret hidden meaning behind the $100 bill. It's got the gold all over it. It's got the part of the Declaration of Independence that says we have the right to overthrow our government at any time. It's also got a gold fountain pen, which is symbolic of the Congress's ability to end the Fed tomorrow with a stroke of a pen. It's that easy. Every Fed chairman has said that. At the end of the day, when they get caught in a lie, they say, hey, Congress has the ability to end the Fed. Ron Paul used to always ask that question. And Greenspan and Bernanke and Yellen would always say, hey, you don't like what we're doing? You guys gave us the power in the first place. You can take that power away with the signature. So, very exciting news today on what's going to happen. And if you're on the private road, you kind of know my time frame. These bailouts are going to get bigger and bigger, and they're not stopping. Clearly, they're not stopping. I do expect $1 trillion to come in February. And then the 20 trillion, in November. In November, we're going to go from the current 240 billion to $1 trillion in November, is my prediction. Now, I've been kind of hot lately on my predictions. Nobody knows exactly. Even the Fed doesn't know exactly, and the banks don't know exactly what's going on because they don't know how many of these treasury bonds and mortgage-backed securities have been rehypothecated, meaning there's multiple owners for all these treasury bonds, and they're using them as collateral. So, yes, it is ugly. It is going to get uglier, and it's going to get crazy, and then it's going to end. And it's the end that we have to decide how we want to move forward. There'll be a lot of plans thrown your way. There'll be temporary stopgap measures, probably not by the Fed, probably by the U.S. Treasury. maybe a U.S. crypto type of thing. Chris Giancarlo, the head of the CFTC, ex-head of the CFTC, said something to that effect. A U.S. dollar crypto. Why not? But just because it's crypto doesn't mean anything. It's got to be decentralized. It's got to be all those things to have value. But then again, a national cryptocurrency probably will not be. No country would decentralize that, so it won't have as much value as the real, true decentralized currencies like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and a couple others as far as cryptocurrencies. I'm not talking about platforms. I'm not talking about tokens. I'm talking about cryptocurrencies. A lot of people saying, Bix, there's all this gold. Why don't we just use gold as money? It's not practical. Nobody cares about gold anymore except the old gold bugs. And remember, other than the secret gold, most of the gold is held by the bad guys anyway. We would be right in the back in the same position as we were. Gold was the answer for hundreds of years, thousands of years. It was the answer. But gold has also failed more times than any currency in the history of mankind. It doesn't fail because gold is flawed. It failed because people are flawed. And every time you start a gold standard, everything's fine for a couple of years, and then they rehypothecate the gold. They figure out a new way to play the same Ponzi scheme of fiat money. So no gold. When I say gold has failed more times than any currency, it's a fact. But gold is also the go-to currency when old currencies crash. That's why it's failed so many times. Is because it was the best we had. And I remember saying that long before cryptocurrencies. Gold isn't perfect, but it was the best we have. Well, now we have something better in the cryptos. Not sure how it will pan out. You got to be nimble. You got to be on your feet. You got to be dynamic and not static. The old system's very static. They want to go back to the same old. The bad guys that Dick Allgaier talks about, it's same old bad guys. They can't handle life changing so fast on them. The best thing is that they couldn't figure out how they were going to die. They were going to die with the release of derivatives from regulation back in the late 1990s. That's where we are now, and this is why they are dying. We don't have to do anything to kill off the bad guys or the banksters. We don't have to do anything. We just have to not bail them out again when they come to Congress. Doing nothing destroys them. So keep that in mind. All right, what's going on in the chat room? I'm going to be taking some questions here for a little bit. What do you guys think? Bitcoin is the gold to Litecoin silver. Isn't that in a song? Yes, it is. Absolutely. And it's massively undervalued in the same comparison. Right now, it's like 85 to 1 silver to gold ratio. I don't even know what the Litecoin to Bitcoin ratio is right now, but it was over 100 to 1. They're very similarly undervalued. They both should be at least 4 to 1, and I think they will both move that way. The way Litecoin gets to 4 to 1 is the obvious. The need for a means of exchange. That's why I've been jumping up and down. The Litecoin people have been jumping up and down. Charlie Lee's been jumping up and down. John Kim's been jumping up and down. Everybody interested in Litecoin jumps up and down and says, oh my God, Litecoin is a means of exchange, mass adoption. It wasn't just craziness we were doing that for. It was so that we would have that meme in our head. When the old system fails and they talk about cryptos, they don't talk about Bitcoin. They don't talk about EOS. They talk about Litecoin as a means of exchange. That will be the number one discussion point. That's where it moves from 120 to 1 to Bitcoin to 4 to 1 over time. Probably first maybe 50 to 1 and then 40 to 1. And then as more and more people say, hell, we need something, and Litecoin's the number one alternative, there you go. And Litecoin is, not many people argue, other than Roger Ver, argue that Litecoin will be the best means of exchange. Roger, I love Roger, I do. I know people hate him, I don't know why. He's kind of an ass, maybe that's why they hate him, but he was right. In the beginning, we need a means of exchange. And when Bitcoin was doing the things Bitcoin was doing, not wanting to increase the block size and wanting to lock up Bitcoin as a store of value, Roger and some people just split off and said, no, it's not what the world needs. The world needs a means of exchange. So Bitcoin Cash will do great in Asia, probably in the U.S. too, but in Asia, Bitcoin Cash is the love. It's like Litecoin will be for Western America and Bitcoin Cash for the Far East. Now, who has more people? Well, Far East does. So Bitcoin Cash will probably do a hell of a lot better than Litecoin, at least for a while. And Bitcoin Cash still has scaling issues when the whole population comes on. Then Litecoin will go, holy crap, Litecoin can do infinite speed at any time with the adoption of the Lightning Network, which everybody will at some point. I think it's more ready than they're saying right now. But there's no need for it. We don't need the Lightning Network right now for a means of exchange, but we will. And once we have that need, voila, there it is. It's solid. It's up and going. So yeah. All right, what else we got? Brad says Lightning Network is a massive attack vector. It's not a massive attack vector. I would say this is attack vector on Bitcoin or whoever adopts it, the chain that adopts it. Bitcoin doesn't want any potential possibility, nothing. Litecoin is more nimble. It can change, and yes, I wouldn't say it's a massive attack vector. I would say it was an attack vector that Bitcoin doesn't want any attack vectors. That's why they're not gonna be jumping up and down to use the Lightning Network. The core developers aren't going to jump up and down. Like Charlie Lee is going to jump up and down because he knows that's what it was built for. Now, that doesn't mean it's an attack vector on your wallet in the your Lightning wallet. Yes. It's just it's a wallet. It's a Lightning wallet. Don't keep your life savings in the Lightning wallet. Keep it on the blockchain of Litecoin. But yes, it is an attack vector. When anything off-chain is an attack vector, and this is off-chain scaling. But to get the speed, which is infinite speed because you can open up as many nodes as you want. Are they called nodes? No, they're called something else. I don't remember. To get the speed, yeah, you're gonna have to. It's a give and take with cryptos. It's like EOS. You want the speed, great, but you lose. It's completely centralized. You lose. It's a give and take. If you want complete safety, you're not going to want speed. That's Bitcoin for you. And Bitcoin the core developers have no plans to be a means of exchange. They don't want to be a means of exchange. That's why they love Litecoin. It does that for Bitcoin. So there you have it. All right, keep going. What else we got? The coin. Litecoin has no... Oh, man, it got deleted. He must have got a little nasty. But yeah, the Litecoin development, there's nothing left to develop at the moment. We got Mimblewimble, which is, confidential transactions. There's nothing really to develop. With Charlie and Litecoin, all the development goes on in the Bitcoin core developers. That's where all the development's going on. Litecoin's done. It's just, what do we need it for right now? Nothing right now. The moment we need a means of exchange, it's going to be number one. So yes, most of the development goes on at the Bitcoin core level. So yeah, there you go. I have no problem with Litecoin being perfect already, as is. But there are other features you can add to it, and Litecoin and there are. I talked to Cliff about this, and Litecoin's future is amazing. Not only as a means of exchange, but to do other things that Bitcoin chooses not to do. Bitcoin is pretty much old school now. It's static. It's not changing that much. Whereas Litecoin is dynamic and can move and develop and change need be. That would, if Litecoin really wants to change and do crazy things with this and that, yeah, you need developers. If you don't need to do all that and you'd rather have the world thinking about Litecoin as a means of exchange and mass adoption, that's where you put your focus on. Does that make sense? All right. America Inventus. Can Trump start arrests because of system failure? I think absolutely. I think arrests are going on right now and executions. the whole Baltimore thing, that they got 2 for 1 in Baltimore. Cummings and the Pelosi's brother, who was a pedo mayor, I think. Yeah, I think those were more like military tribunal type executions. Although Cummings was ill for a long time, but so was McCain and so was Bush Sr. But I think they were taken out as well. So yeah, but yeah, when the banks fail, everything is open. For Trump to say, okay, how about some truth and honesty? And if Trump is dirty, we need to know about it. We know he's dirty, but if Trump has done something so illegal that he shouldn't be doing what he's doing, which is running cover for the good guys behind the scenes, then we should know about it. We should know everything. And I got no problem going after Trump if he was a pedophile as well. But I think they would have found that by now, maybe. Who knows? We need truth and honesty. Whoever gets rolled over with truth and honesty, that's their problem. And moving forward, we're not going to allow anything but truth and honesty for the next 1,000 years after this chaos hits and we get over it. Hopefully get over it. I think we will, truthfully. Brother David, thank you for the $1.99. Above ground audit and new gold dollar. No, there's a lot of things going on with gold. Above ground audit of what? You're not going to get it. Read Yamashita's gold, 300,000 tons of gold over there. All my work in gold in the Grand Canyon, millions, and it would be probably 1 million to 2 million tons, not ounces, tons of gold in the Grand Canyon that have been sitting there and locked up by Woodrow Wilson in a national park. So is there a need for an audit of gold? No, why? The only people who have gold are central banks and old bankers and Rothschilds. So gold, unfortunately for all the gold bugs, something else was invented that is better than gold as a store of value and a means of exchange. Cryptos, in my opinion. But you guys can go buy all the gold you want because there's still some old bankers who have a lot of fiat money that will swap it for you. And if you have gold anyway, why would you hold gold and not silver? I mean, at an 80-to-1 ratio, I mean, that's the no-brainer of a lifetime. Like, of a lifetime. If you're sitting there with gold because you like monetary metals, you're insane not to hold silver. The only bad thing about silver is it's too damn heavy if you have to go mobile. But the reality is there's so much more gold in the world than they tell you and so little silver. It's 85-to-1 right now. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. It should be in-ground ratio is 7-to-1. It'll go to at least 4-to-1 because of the industrial aspect and the monetary aspect. And I think in the craziness, if the exchanges stayed open, it would go 1-to-1 with gold. Why? Because there's 6 billion ounces of gold in the world and there's 6 billion ounces of silver in the world. Life would be the exact same. If there's no silver in the gold in the world ever again, it all disappeared one day. God came down and said, okay, I'm taking away all the gold. Life would go on exactly the same. With silver, you take away all the silver, life would be completely different. Flat screen TVs would be different. Solar panels would be different. I probably wouldn't be able to do this live broadcast without silver. And after talking with Cliff, there's a lot of new silver implementations in the sci-fi world that we haven't even thought about yet, but are coming down the pike like in the next year or two. So absolutely get your hands on a lot of silver, not for the monetary aspects, but for the industrial aspects and for the rigging of the price. 150 years of market rigging, price suppression does not end pretty. RICO charges against the number one rigger, JP Morgan. Are you kidding? You know what RICO charges? You know what the fine is for RICO charges? 3 times the amount you stole. So if JP Morgan shorted the price of silver to keep the price down and then pulled over 1 billion ounces off the exchanges into their own warehouse, they're going to owe 3 billion ounces of silver to humanity. Take that, Jamie Dimon. All right, how's the chat room going? Is everybody being kind? I got a lot of wrenches out there, and they're brutal wrenches, and they're fast, so be nice. Heather, Could you compare the status of JP Morgan with Deutsche Bank? JP Morgan had record earnings using pumped in Fed money. Why didn't they do the same with Deutsche Bank? A couple things. Deutsche Bank, they used to be the largest derivative holder. Deutsche Bank has a lot of other criminal problems. But Deutsche Bank is a European bank. They don't have the Fed. They got the EU. They can do all these banks can do this behind the scenes without telling anybody. First of all, but on the surface, with the faith and confidence of the world, no, the EU can't bail out Deutsche Bank and then go bail out and not bail out Greece. So you'll see no EU bailouts from for the banks just because of the structure of the European Union. They absolutely screwed themselves. So they don't bail out Spain, Portugal, and Greece and basically steal their assets and put them on austerity, but they're going to bail out the German bank, Deutsche Bank. Ain't going to happen. Now in the U.S., yeah, they're bailing out all banks, and they're not telling you. That's the other thing. Elizabeth Warren should be demanding from the Fed who is participating in the repo market. I want the names of the banks who are participating. That way, the banks that don't really need it could back out and say, no, look, it wasn't me. And the banks that do need it will have to go in, and we'll know who the culprits are. Although we already know. It's JP Morgan, Citibank, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo. Because those are the largest derivative holders of mortgage-backed securities and mainly of treasuries on the banking side. And it's just banks in there doing it. So we know them. And those are all systemic too big to fail banks. What happens when a too big to fail bank fails? Everything is gone. Checking, savings, 401k, you name it. So, yeah. That's what's going on, my friends. All right, where are we? Bix, can you, this is from Big Dan. Bix, can you comment on what % of crypto and silver would you hold? I currently have 25% crypto and 75% physical silver. I try to stick with 50-50. And, at times, in retrospect, yeah, everybody in the crypto days back in 2017 would have sold all their crypto and bought silver. And then they would have sold all their silver and bought crypto at the bottom. So the problem with trying to determine a ratio is it changed so rapidly with the movement of mainly cryptocurrencies. So I like 50-50. Silver, it's going to be a one-time deal. One time it'll be released from manipulation, and then you either have it or you don't have it. So definitely silver in your own possession. No mining companies, because $600 silver would mean all the mining companies are nationalized and the banks are crashed. Remember, every dollar that silver goes up, the big banks, those handful, 5 or 6 big banks, lose $1 billion because they have $1 billion short position on the COMEX. That's just the COMEX, not the LBMA. So every dollar that silver goes up, the banks lose $1 billion. And every dollar it goes down, they gain $1 billion. That's why they're holding it down. RICO charges against JP Morgan for silver manipulation. If you told me this 10 years ago when I was fighting that fight, I would have said, nah, it ain't going to happen. Are you kidding? It took 10 years. Hell, I was in the silver fight in 1999 is when I hooked up with Bill Murphy. Actually, 2000. I hooked up with Bill Murphy and his crowd. And that's how long I've been in this fight. Crazy. Paulie P, what are you doing throwing money at me? Love you, baby. See you in Vegas. Paulie P, truck driver, awesome guy. He did the cleanse from his sleeper truck. I usually say his sleeper trailer. No, he doesn't sleep in the trailer. He sleeps in the tractor. They call it a tractor, right? Sleeper cab. But yeah, he's with his blender and his juicer and his almond milk maker in his cab, driving down the road. You love that. And he did it. You guys can do this damn cleanse. Look how skinny I am now again. Not that skinny. This was only a 9-day one, but I feel great. That's what I want to do. Feel great. Just before the Litecoin Summit, so I could feel real shitty afterwards. Although I'll have a big smile on my face because it's going to be really fun. All right. Let's see. Someone talking about strippers. Sam Samuels. Strippers get money thrown at them. What does that mean? That fiat crap. Throw silver at them. See how that goes. See if you get bounced from the strip club. Yeah, YouTube takes 30% of super chats. True. YouTube. I'm hoping. That after the monetary crash, after a lot of these crazy people are arrested for trying to rig our elections. Snippy did a great video, except one thing. He did a great video on Amazon taking the Amazon cloud taking over the elections. That Trump's got to stop that. He'll stop it. The good guys are in charge of it. You know, you can rig any elections. Trudeau just won in Canada, completely rigged, 100% rigged. The U.S. elections were rigged, absolutely. Trump just rigged them better because the good guys in the military were on his side. Actually, they brought him in to run, to be the bull in the china shop that he is. I would love if Ron Paul was president. I voted for him 3 times, but he could not have withstood. They would have been calling him a racist. And you could put the Pope as the president in a Republican suit, and the Democrats will call him a racist, a misogynist, a sexist, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying. That's the world we live in. And unless something changes like mass arrests, I don't think we're going to have another president. And it probably won't be a bad thing either. Along with the discouragement of, say, 30 million of our 35 million people that work for governments in the United States, directly or indirectly. Now that I read that number, don't count on it, but that's including contractors and all that stuff. It's a tough number to figure out, truthfully. It's kind of like how many derivatives are actually out there. I've heard anywhere from 2 to 6 trillion or quadrillion. It's a Q. 2 to 6 quadrillion. People are usually safe to say about 2 quadrillion. It's not like most of these are behind the scenes OTC where they're not even on any exchanges. Exchanges have, I think, 41% of the declared derivatives. And I've said this many times. They print money to infinity behind the scenes and don't tell you. They don't tell anybody. The question is, why are they telling us about this tiny little repo stuff that doesn't make any sense? Unless they're trying to destroy the system, which they are. And again, you don't have to do anything to destroy the system. Just remove the support and manipulation for the criminal system. Jerry Hardison, thank you. $4.99. It's very nice. Very nice of you. Hey, oh, by the way, give me a thumbs up and a like. And click the notification button if you want to get notified when I do the live chats. All right. Ooh, I just got 4 extra thumbs up. Come on, give me another thumbs up. And it's jumping. It's moving. It's funny because I forgot to put my phone on silent. So every once in a while, a text message will come up. That was a text from Cliff talking about how rainy it is in Washington right now. I love that man, Cliff High, in case... if I was a girl, I'd really love him. But he is an amazing human being and such a nice guy and a good guy. And it really pisses me off when crypto people start to give him shit because they got in at the high and didn't. And Cliff told them to get in. Cliff told us to get in at $100 Bitcoin, my friends. The person you should be beating up is yourself for not getting in with Cliff in the early days or not believing in what he said. I didn't believe him at the beginning. I didn't buy Bitcoin at 100. I bought Bitcoin at 200. And then I sold it and the Mt. Gox crashed like an idiot. And then I bought again and I told myself, I'm a hodler. This is ridiculous. I know where the old system's going. And we finally invented something that could help us out in a little easier way than what would have happened. What would have happened is Mad Max, I believe. Complete Mad Max. And it might be anyway. Don't get me wrong. It might be Mad Max. Mad Max wouldn't be good for cryptos, but it wouldn't be good for gold either. Gold would be useless. Silver would be useless. Cigarettes for a couple years, that's it. Mad Max world, you got melting down of nuclear power plants. The world is over. That's the end of the internet would destroy the world these days because they're so reliant on it. Everything is run off the internet now. So, yeah, we have a lot of issues and problems coming up as a species. Mankind is in a hell of a way, not just politically, not just monetarily, but our Earth is changing. Everything is changing. Um, so yeah, hang on tight, my friends. It's going to get really ugly starting in 2020. 2020, remember that. 2020, year zero. Hint, 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 hint. I'm giving away too much. Okay. Anyway, come to the Litecoin Summit party and you'll get more info on that one. Scott Allen, hey Bix, doesn't Cliff High say we're not going to have a crash? No, no. I think he thinks we're not even going to care. So many other things will be going off at the time, but not the crash, as in one day all of a sudden everything stops and then we start up again. There will be crashes, and Cliff's data has 3 times the U.S. tries to re-implement a form of currency. I would assume at the beginning it'd be a Federal Reserve note again, a new Federal Reserve note, and then a new Treasury note, and then a crypto Treasury note that is not decentralized, and all of those will fail. And then it goes to, okay, governments don't need to be in the money business. They don't, absolutely not. So will it go to Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, something as a means of exchange, and then you got all your other cryptos. And the next run up in Bitcoin is going to basically revive all those dead, not all of them, but the ones, the ICOs that did what they said they were going to do will be revived in the next Bitcoin run, because those products and services are needed. And especially when the old system crashes, the old products and services won't be offered anymore. So voila, you have new way to implement projects and services, especially in a decentralized way, because trust will be gone. It's a trustless system, meaning you don't have to trust anybody. So, America, invent us again. Does Trump know about the Road to Ruta happening? Yeah, he's known for decades. Well, not necessarily the Road to Ruta, all the stuff on the Road to Ruta. I don't think he was ever a subscriber. The Bank of China was a subscriber to the Road to Ruta. And a guy who worked for, or worked with Buffett closely, who actually told Buffett about the Road to Ruta. But Buffett knew already too, through his father. He knew what was going on with the gold in the Grand Canyon. He knew, yes, he is lying. When he says, oh, gold's worth nothing, he knows exactly what gold's worth. He is lying. He is, his father was in the John Birch Society. Yeah. His father gave an amazing speech on the need for a gold standard in the 1940s. So yeah, Buffett is, it's again, on the Road to Ruta theory, Buffett is helping prolong the system until he's going to pull the rug out, along with Greenspan was doing that as well. And, we'll see. Greenspan probably the biggest one to go back to a gold standard is what he wanted. And then he learned how to program computers in the 1960s. I think he was working on cryptocurrencies long before Satoshi white paper. We did an RV on it, a remote viewing session with Dick and friends, and came out with John Kimony, the inventor of BASIC, Alan Greenspan, Steve Jobs, who, without Steve Jobs, cryptocurrencies would not be as useful. You wouldn't need a means of exchange because you don't have a computer in your hand. There would be no way to go to a store and, Steve Jobs put the computer in your hand. And then there's another guy that nobody's identified. I think I know who it is. And I think I'm going to give that speech down at Anarchapulco. But it was a group of at least 4, probably 20 people who, invented Bitcoin. But it was all part of the plan. And yes, Greenspan probably was most influential in destroying the old system. Obviously, he was. We all know that the derivatives is the big problem of the banks. It is manifesting right now in the repo problem. So, yeah, hang on, my friends. It's going to get ugly. All right. Axiom. I cannot wait for BitConnect to come back. Yeah, there will be companies just like BitConnect, probably BitConnect itself. I think BitConnect was one of the deep state coins. The guys over at Tether and Bitfinex and EOS and the crypto cabal, as I call them. I think they were behind that, and the Queen of England, who ultimately ended up taking control of it. Yeah, those are bad people. They got to go. So maybe in the chaos. Oh, by the way, if you're invested in cryptos or invested in silver or gold, invested in anything, they can easily click a mouse and drive these things to zero, and then shut down all markets. So make sure you have your investments in your own possession so that you can ride out any chaos that's coming. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, Bitcoin and going to go down to 1,000." People say, "Oh no way, it's worth more." Well, of course it's worth more, but it doesn't mean it won't go down to 1,000. It doesn't mean they couldn't click a mouse and all of a sudden sell 21 trillion Bitcoin on every exchange and drive the price to zero and then shut down the markets so they don't have to follow up with any kind of Bitcoin. It's pretty easy to do that actually. So careful because these exchanges are not your friend. If you have any cryptos in exchanges, you will lose them. There is no doubt you will lose them. Get them in your own possession, and you can find out how to do that on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and say, how do I store my Bitcoin? Well, you got Trezor, you got paper wallets, you got all this stuff. You got to do homework if you have cryptos. All right, where else are we? What else we got going on? Doug says, yes, centralized exchanges are not your friend. I'm waiting for, there are some decentralized exchanges coming out. I'm waiting for the mass adoption. Everybody's like, well, they're not fast enough. Good. You don't want a fast exchange. You want those decentralized exchanges to go onto the blockchain and record the transaction is what you want. You don't want speed when you're talking about buying cryptos. If you're a trader and a high frequency trader, especially, that you play in derivatives. That's what you want. But yeah, decentralized exchanges that exchanges take place on the blockchain is where we need to go. All right, let's see what else I got here. Lupe, I bought Bitcoin when it was 100. 5 of them sat on it, then needed to cash some out. I cashed out at $7,000. There you go. Nice return there. Hopefully you had a good reason to cash out. But yeah, I sell cryptocurrencies all the time if I have to pay for rent or, obviously I try not to, but every once in a while on the road to Ruta, you got a kind of light month. It's like, damn, I got to sell some cryptos to, take care of this tax bill or something like that, right? All right. Numbers J, cryptos are not secure. Unlimited can be created. 2 wrong statements there. The right cryptos are secure, and it's up to you to secure them. Bitcoin is extremely secure. Litecoin has never been hacked. So that's wrong statement. Unlimited can be created is wrong as well. Yes, you can create new cryptos. You can fork cryptos, sure. Just like you can create new fiat money, you can fork it. Now, whether it'll have value is up to the person who decides to buy that the new crypto that was created. But you can't create any more Bitcoin. Sorry, you just can't. And that's part of the understanding is it's limited supply. And it's the beauty over gold and silver and fiat money is it's limited in supply by both the program and the protocol. Meaning it's going to take over 65 to 70% of the people to agree to destroy Bitcoin who are Bitcoin users. And that's as pretty secure as you get. All right. Oh, SoftBank bailed out WeWork. Is it official now? That's going to mean a huge hit for Jamie Dimon, who was the WeWork. They were the lead investment bank, taking them public. Jamie threw in. I heard it's over $100 million. Basically, gave it to this kid. I forgot his name. Deep cabal stuff that WeWork. Yeah, that's deep state stuff. You don't want to get tangled. That's right up there with Bernie Madoff and all that stuff. Jamie does it again as he's being investigated. Why? Here's a question for the regulators or the Department of Justice, SEC, and the CFTC. If there are traders who have admitted to JP Morgan traders admitted to rigging the silver market. There's 3 that are under investigation for RICO charges. Why is JP Morgan allowed to participate at all in the silver market? At all. They should have had a cease and desist order on day 1. and yet they're still the holder, the custodian of the SLV inventories. BlackRock is done. BlackRock, their fiduciary responsibility is to hire someone who's not going to rehypothecate the inventory of silver. And here you have JP Morgan, who is being busted for RICO charges in silver, and yet they're still allowed to go out there and rig the markets. Like I said, the regulators are in charge of running cover in the old system. They are not in charge of regulating shit. And we need all the regulators to go away. And people, if you say people want to invest, good, they shouldn't invest. They should work hard and keep their cryptos. If they want to invest, do your due diligence on what you're investing in. Don't rely on a regulator to say, oh, you're all right, little Johnny. It's okay for you to put your lunch money into the bond market, the stock market, the repo market. Yeah, Johnny, you're fine. It's false confidence that it builds in a market. All right. Let's see. Little drink of water. Everybody happy out there? Can you feel the as Cliff calls it, the building tension right now? Something's got to blow. I am afraid of in case you guys asked, and I talked about this on the Friday on the timeline, I am afraid that in the next couple of weeks they're going to try to pull a false flag because they're running out of options. Or a huge market crash that they can blame, whatever, the false flag. Oh, there's a false flag. Of course the market's going to crash. And then bail out Central and things like that. Keep your wits about you. I hope the false flag isn't in Vegas next weekend. Knock on wood. Yeah, so that's where we are, guys. Our friend Elizabeth Warren is kind of front-running the bank bailouts, and she'll have a lot to say. And I like the short time frame that she gave until November 1st. That's next week. You got to get back to me with the answers next week, and that's about the same time that they're going to need their next big, large bailout. So I think at some point they're going to have to come to Congress and say, we need a $20 trillion bailout, or they don't come to Congress and just keep bailing out the banks. Then someone like Elizabeth Warren will say, let's end the Fed now because they're completely out of control. So we will see what happens. Very exciting. Jerry Hardison, bail in? No, not a chance in the U.S. Not a chance in hell. Can you imagine the public outcry? These bankers get rich and literally steal our money and make trillions in profits over the last 10 years since the last bailout, and now they're saying bail in. Will never happen. Nope. People would rather destroy the system than have a bail in. All right. Yeah, Sam Samuels. This is the only time I would ever be pro Elizabeth Warren. I agree. It's hard. It's hard to sit there and say, oh, God, she's right about the banksters, but she's wrong about everything else. Which I think the reason she'll be a huge front runner once the banks crash. But then you get a lot of the truth coming out about all the other things, and Trump's going to look like a freaking hero for fighting these criminals that people will find out are just the worst human beings on planet Earth, as in the pedophiles and the market riggers and all these people that he's been fighting. So the times are changing, absolutely, 100%. But Mom, I want crypto. She's smart whether you like her or not. Yeah, she's not dumb when it comes to the banking, and I don't think she's dumb. I think it's dumb to believe in that socialism is the cure, though. And she's trying to be a politician. You can tell she's not comfortable being a politician. Not many people are, but she tries to give the right answer and ends up lying about all kinds of shit, and that's not going to bode well. We need truth and honesty no matter what in the future, because we're going to lose faith and confidence. When faith and confidence is lost, nobody's going to have faith in their government. So who's going to pay taxes when there's no faith in the government? So, is Hillary running again? I think Hillary's dead, truthfully. I think these are all like body doubles, and she's the only person I've seen in the last 5 years that has dropped about 20 years in the way they look. You take a look at her now and take a look at her 20 years ago. It's a different Hillary. So yeah, I think she's gone. I hope so, but who knows? Avathor, what do you think about Dash? I like Dash. It'll be probably probably fifth or sixth on the list of currencies that do great. Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, not in that order. I'd say Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, Digibyte, Dash. That's how I'd rank them. But that's just me. You guys can have your own theory. Dash has problems. They were great at marketing. That's what they did really well. If you put the Dash marketing with the Litecoin technology, that would have been a home run. But Litecoin, hey, Litecoin people it's word of mouth marketing. It's yelling and screaming. It's the Litecoin community out there. That's what we're gonna do next weekend is talk about mass adoption and means of exchange and all the great things that Litecoin will be needed for in the future. And remember why Satoshi created Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer cash system, because he knew these banks were not long for this world. And Bitcoin core developers wanted to lock it up, and Charlie Lee said, I'm not going to lock up something that would be so helpful to humanity when the banks crash. So there we have it. And that's what Roger was trying to do as well. So we will see, right? Ty City, what's the word on Pillar Wallet? It's at 2 cents. Well, that's two things. There's the Pillar token and Pillar Wallet. I love the Pillar wallet. It's a great wallet. Do they need a token? Charlie would say, why have a token? Why not just make a great wallet? So I don't know. I have some Pillar, but I don't know. Some of these tokens, if you invent a token just to invent a token, there's millions of tokens out there. They invented a great wallet, and the idea was everybody would be using this great wallet, and it would be the Pillar, so to speak. And because there was so much utilization, that would give value to the token. Well, they made the great wallet, or they're making the great wallet. It is a really good wallet, but it's not really taking off. So there's really no use case right now for Pillar. But I think in the long term, yeah, I think it could do well. The other problem with Pillar is the way the structure of management, decentralized company, and that's really hard to get things done. It's great, it's cool. It's you're walking the walk and talking the talk, but at the same time, it's almost impossible to get things done on a fast level. That's my take. Yeah, Pillar's at 3 cents. So I don't know what was Pillar's high back in the 2017-18 craziness. I know it got a lot of hype, but I never really saw. Okay, is it a cryptocurrency? I love the wallet; it's a great wallet, but yeah, is it gonna do everything for us? I don't know. Somebody was asking about Pelosi in Afghanistan. I heard that they are taking down the deep state, and there were some of the deep state controllers in Afghanistan that she was begging for help to stop Trump from taking out some of the criminals. I heard she went to Israel as well before. She might be on the run. I don't know if this is the same Pelosi. Also, people have said she doesn't quite look the same, doesn't quite talk the same as she did 10 years ago. When you get up there, it's like who knows what the hell's going on with clones are around and body doubles and things like that. And SGI, the funny thing, like during the when Hillary Clinton was giving her, we got a stadium full of people with Hillary Clinton, and then they're having CGI glitches, and you can tell she's standing in front of a green screen. Who knows what's real these days? I don't know. All right, let's see. Patrick Byrne, anti-cabal actions, but not Ravencoin. What gives? I like Patrick. He's a smart guy. I don't know much about his moves in cryptos, but I followed him back when he was exposing the rehypothecation of the DTCC behind the scenes. Overstock.com was getting attacked by the bankers back in the 90s, 2000s, and he fought. he stood up and figured it out and fought, and he actually got things done. Not well enough, obviously, but yeah, I learned a lot from Patrick Byrne back in the day. He wrote it's kind of an interactive movie called Deep Capture. That if you want to understand what's going on at the DTCC, rehypothecation, massive trading of derivatives in gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, watch Deep Capture, and it gives a good analysis of exactly what was going on. Patrick Byrne's buddies with Brock Pierce. If he is, that's scary. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about Patrick other than watching his original presentation, and it's really good. I think it's a movie now. Go check it out. Pelosi's traveling with Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is deep pedo. Deep pedo. Standard Hotel. Ooh, it's bad stuff. So Trump's not worried about all the bullshit. He knows at any moment he can take these people out, or his people can take them out. But see, Trump is working for the good guys behind the scenes. The good guys started. One of the main good guys was Michael Mukasey. Michael Mukasey was the attorney general during the trials of the 9/11 and a lot of terrorists. And he saw what was going on. He couldn't say anything, but he got together with a bunch of generals, a bunch of lawyers, a bunch of judges, and said, we need to take our country back, but we need someone at the front of it. And that's when they talked Donald Trump into running for president. So he is working for the good guys as the bull in the china shop. He's a great bull. I don't know anybody else who could do what Trump does. He's an absolute asshole. I mean, people I've worked with have dealt with them directly, and say, "Oh, he's so great, gracious, blah blah blah," and then all of a sudden he'll click, and it's part of his game, and he loves it, and he does it so well. So, yeah. Dante Oberturina said I was paid psychops. Dante, I don't have my check. I've been missing checks for 20 years of doing this, and they haven't been paying me. I hear those guys get paid a ton of money. Like what's his name? David Wilcock's buddy. I forgot the dude's name. But yeah, no. Really? Obviously, that Dante hasn't been following the road to root at all. That's all right. I would love to be that cool. Deep undercover agent. Check me out. Pillar was at $1.81. Yeah, everything's gotten destroyed. But again, when we have a move up in Bitcoin and the next alt run up, not all the altcoins will move, but the ones that did what they said they're going to do, and it was a good idea and it's moving forward, those should do extremely well. All right. Let's see. Time traveling Barrow Trump is Q. I thought everyone knew that. Yeah, that whole Barron Trump thing and the book that was written in the early 1900s about Barron Trump and Q. No, I think Q was, what was his name? The Trump's chief of staff, General Kelly. I think General Kelly was Q, because Q started when General Kelly came on as chief of staff, and then he kind of petered out right when General Kelly left. So I think General Kelly is definitely working with Mukasey and the good guys. He's a true American hero, absolutely. So I think that was Q. But there's a couple people, they were trying to get information out for people. And then there's some fake Q and all that stuff. So I don't think we've heard from Q in a while. Veritasium, nothing that I've heard of yet. I think the next court date's November 14th. Again, Very could go to 0, or could go to a 1-to-1 with Bitcoin. Hopefully they'll come to some kind of resolution with Reggie and the criminal SEC. That's what I hope for. Reggie's right, and he absolutely is. He could fight this, but why? Reggie, if you're watching this, so many more better battles to fight. Pay whatever fine they want you to pay, as long as it doesn't hurt, and as long as they promise to stop running a blockage of your deals. Yeah, pay whatever fine, and let's move on, because we need Veritasium when the exchanges crash. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm a hodler on Very. If it goes down to $4 again, I'll buy a lot more again. So there we have it. I don't think it's going to go down to $4, but hey, it could go to anything. All these cryptos could go to anything with a click of a mouse, and massive rigging everywhere, everywhere. Salt and ADX, what happened? What happened to the price? I assume you're talking about. Both those companies are doing great, other than the price of the tokens. So, what do you do? Yeah, Salt is writing crypto loans, and in the next bull run, will it get revived? I heard that that there's some very substantial backers of Salt on the money front after the CEO left, and they're just waiting in the wings. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Both Salt and ADX are up and running, doing what they said they were going to do. I haven't looked that much at ADX, but definitely Salt. So what happens in the next run up? I don't know. Could it be a home run from in the garbage? Potentially, if everything catches a bid. I mean, put Salt up against a lot of these ICOs that never did anything, and you're going to see a huge contrast. So we will see. How about PayPal? Kind of the same thing. I don't know that much about PayPal. I do have some, but a little bit, tiny bit, and yeah, I think all the altcoins, all the ICOs, those hot ICOs back in the day, the ones that did what they said they're going to do are going to catch a bid in the next run, the next crazy run, because I think everything, and then you're going to have a whole new group of ICOs, especially if the regulators are gone, and the regulators would go if there's a banking crash, because they're just as criminal as the banks. And we pointed that out a long time. It's a revolving door between like Goldman Sachs and the CFTC, the SEC, not so much the DOJ, but obviously the CIA and those guys. PPT Populous still doing it, as far as I can tell. They've been struggling, and like everybody, been struggling with money, but still up and running. A lot of the ICOs are gone now, just literally gone. Tokens don't trade anywhere, and the company's no longer around. So everything was going out. So we will see what goes on. Yeah. Anyway, I've gone on way too long. I want to wish everybody a happy, crazy Tuesday. As crazy it was today, tomorrow, the next day will be crazier. The next day will be crazier. As far as the financial system, they cannot stop bailing out the banks. If Elizabeth Warren gets in the way, she might have to run to Congress and say we need to shut down the Federal Reserve System, which would be interesting. But more likely, it's going to be Treasury is going to come to Congress and say we need $20 trillion to bail out the system. We see it's an unforeseen glitch. I saw glitch. Unforeseen glitch in the banking system, and we're going to say no, I think. So that's it. You guys, hey, give me a thumbs up and a like, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to do one more of these probably Thursday before we head to Vegas. And then if you're going to Vegas, I can't wait. It's going to be a hoot. Working on some new songs, and get ready to sing along. I'll talk to you guys later.